Hey guys, hopping on today to talk about deadlines. Deadlines, I think, are one of those things before we become freelancers, we think like, ooh, I don't know, because we're thinking like deadlines from school, right? We hated deadlines. We waited till the last minute to do our papers. Okay, maybe that was just me. But I think deadlines get a really bad rap because here's the great thing about deadlines when you're a freelancer. They make you get stuff done. You cannot disappoint a client, which is really kind of part two of this. Deadlines are sacred. You cannot ever miss a deadline. You cannot. So there are a couple of things that we want to keep in mind when we're thinking about setting deadlines. First of all, you and your client are going to agree on your deadlines together. It's not like your client is ever going to say, I need you to get this to me by this date, and you have no choice. If they absolutely need that date and you can't do it, you will tell them no. Or what's more likely to happen is you and your client will talk and you'll figure out a date that works for you. So you will have input on your deadlines. But again, your deadlines are sacred. You cannot ever miss a deadline, ever. That is your entire reputation. If you miss a deadline, a client will never work with you again, and they will also tell other people that you are not someone that can be relied on. You cannot miss a deadline. But so a couple of things to factor in then. Make sure to give yourself extra time unless it is a rush project. You know it's a rush project and you're charging an extra fee for a rush project for a client. Give yourself some extra buffer time. Number one, because sometimes things come up in projects and in life, and you might want a little bit more time to think things through or to work on things or that kind of anything like that. So give yourself some extra buffer time. Number two, have fail safes in place. You know, if you do a lot of work on your computer, make sure that you are automatically backing up the stuff that you are doing. You never want to be in a scenario where you're doing all this work, your computer dies, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So make sure there are fail safes in place. That also means, by the way, having at least one or two people in your industry that you can rely on if stuff gets crazy. If worst case scenario, if things get really, really bad and you have to pass that project off to them, which, you know, you have to let your client know. Like say something terrible happens, you know, your mom ends up in the hospital or something and you just won't be available. Then you need to have someone that can finish that work by that deadline, because again, deadlines are sacred. Now, obviously, hopefully you'll have the kind of client that will be a little bit more understanding, but you can't bank on that because you made a promise, you made a binding commitment. So if something terrible happens, you do need to have people in your network that you can reach out to help you complete work and meet those deadlines if that's what happens. Because again, I'll say it again, deadlines are sacred. And yeah, sometimes stuff comes up. Sometimes you're planning on working on stuff and all of a sudden you have people staying with you now, or who knows, life gets crazy, right? But you need to hit those deadlines. And there will be some times when your schedule will get packed and you'll realize that you have to work really, really late or get up really, really early. And that will be a good lesson for next time in terms of budgeting your time and how much time to give yourself to complete projects. But as long as you give yourself time and learn from times when you feel a little bit constricted, and as long as you do, like I said, give yourself that extra time, and as long as you have a backup for your computer, but also for your services if the worst thing happens, then you'll be good, because you got to hit those deadlines no matter what. As freelancers, hitting deadlines is our bread and butter. If you miss deadlines, you will not get hired. So if you haven't taken notes on this video, go back, take a couple of notes, because you have a few action points, a few things to do to make sure that you never miss a deadline.